Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Old Time Rock and Roll. I'm your host, David Tare, where I've been featuring my personal top 3,000 songs of the rock era from 1954 to 1999. And today I'm up to song number 2636, and that one is The Living Years by Mike and the Mechanics. And this came out in 1989. It went all the way to number one, and it was also released on their 1988 album entitled Living Years. And here's a picture of the group Mike and the Mechanics. And I think I'm going to talk about the group first. They didn't have a lot of hits, but they were formed by the guy in the middle. That's Mike Rutherford. Here's a picture of him. And Mike Rutherford, I think, was better known as the one of the founding members and the lead guitarist of this very popular band called Genesis, which I'm sure you guys have all heard of. They were a big British rock band, very popular in the 70s and 80s, and they had several famous members. Mike Rutherford is the guy in the back left, and in front of him is Phil Collins. I think you guys probably recognize him. That's him with a beard, and I don't know if Peter Gabriel's in this picture or not. He might be the guy in the front middle. He was with them for a while, but he left pretty early on, and they were just a very big band, and never really one of my favorites, but they were a very very popular band, and several of the members became popular on their own as solo artists, including Mike Rutherford. Not really a solo artist because he was with a band, Mike and the Mechanics, and they got started in 1985. They were around from 1985 to 2004. And I guess I'll go through their discography first. So their first hit was called Silent Running, subtitled On Dangerous Ground. That went to number six. It may have been inspired by the movie Silent Running. I never saw that movie, by the way, but there was a sci fi movie, I think it came out in 1972, called Silent Running. And I think they even feature scenes from it in their video of the song. And I even heard that George Lucas copied the story for Star Wars, the first Star Wars movie for Silent Running. I'm not sure if that's true or not, because I never saw Silent Running. Uh, anyway, that was their first hit, 1986. Oh, and that went to number six, by the way. I think I said that. In 1986, they had their follow-up hit called "All I Need Is a Miracle," that went to number five, and then later that year they had "Taken In," which went to 32. In 1988, they had "Nobody's Perfect," which went to 63. In 1981, they had the one, 1989 rather, they had the one I'm featuring today, "The Living Years," which went all the way to number one. I believe that was their only number one hit. Later that year, they had "Seeing Is Believing," which went to number 62. And in 1991, they had "Word of Mouth," which went to number 76. So now I'm going to talk about the song "The Living Years," and it's a pretty deep song. I mean, it's kind of sad. I don't know if it's sad. I think it's more kind of thought provoking than sad. I mean, it was inspired. I'll tell you what the inspiration for this song was first. Mike Rutherford, I guess one day he was having a conversation with a friend of his, Brian Anderson, who was another pretty famous musician. And while they were talking, they realized that both of their fathers passed away at almost the same time. And then I guess they started feeling guilty because they realized that, they wish they had told their dads, how much they appreciated them while they were alive. They were big rebels and they really separated themselves from their parents' generation, like most rock musicians did, and I think a lot of them still do. Young people tend to do that, and I think they've always done that. Generations never seem to really see eye to eye on things, and I know that's particularly true for me. I never saw eye to eye with my mom at all. I think I saw eye to eye a lot better with my dad, but my dad was always kissing up to my mom. And by the way, my dad died almost exactly a year ago. He died on January 23rd, 2024. And I think a little bit of what Mike Rutherford was singing about in this song, "The Living Years." He was an amazing man, and I don't think I appreciated enough when he was alive. I mean, he was just amazingly humble, and modest and honest, and he was a very, very smart man, but he didn't show off at all. And he wasn't outspoken at all. He let my mom do all the speaking and all the running of the family. And I mean, I guess the only bad thing I can say about my dad is I think he was kind of a coward because he didn't stand up to my mom, and I think there were times he really needed to. But otherwise, he was a very, very great man, and I never really told him that when he was alive, and I kind of wish I had. So I felt some guilt after he died. But, I feel, honored to be his son. I think I got a lot of good genes from him. Not only that, I think I got a lot of good upbringing from him and my mom for all the shit she put me through. She did help me in a lot of ways. So if you're listening, Mom, which I highly doubt because you've never used a computer in your life, but in case, you ever listen to this video, I want you to know that I do love you and I do appreciate, what you did for me, even though your methods were horrible. Anyway, enough of that. But anyway, so that's what the song "The Living Years" is about. And I'm just gonna say one more thing about all this. Um, 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 so yeah, there was a very excellent movie that came out in 1967 called "Guess Who's Coming to Dinner." I don't know how many guys saw this movie. It's one of my favorites. It's with Sidney Poitier. He's the guy on the right. Very excellent African American actor. Probably the first black actor to have really serious roles. And he's been in several great movies, including this one. And there's a really moving scene in this movie. I guess I'm just going to give away a little bit of the plot. Sidney Poitier, he plays a young doctor who falls in love with a beautiful white woman, and they decide to get married. They get engaged in Hawaii, and then they have to break the news to their parents, who are the older generation. And naturally, at that time when this movie came out in the '60s, it was almost unheard of to have a mixed marriage. So naturally, all the older generation, the parents are very, very upset about the whole thing. And Sidney Poitier, he's kind of trying to play it cool in this movie. He decides he's not going to get married, to his fiancee unless he gets permission from his dad, and unless she gets permission from her parents as well. And so there's a scene where he's having it out with his dad. When his dad finds out that he wants to marry this white girl, and naturally he's really furious about it. He starts lecturing him. He said, "This, you're not the son I raised. I did everything I could for you. I was a poor black man. I was driving a cab my whole life. I drove the cab 75,000 miles just to feed you. I did everything I could just to, put scrap food on the table for you." And then Sidney Poitier has a really excellent response to that. He said, "You did what you had to do, Dad." He said, "I'm your son. You gave birth to me. I didn't ask to be born. You put me into this world. And as a parent, you were obliged to take care of me, to give me all the basic needs," which is true. And don't forget that, you guys. I mean, none of us asked to be born. I didn't ask to be born. Sometimes I wish I hadn't, but I don't anymore. There were times in my life where I really didn't value my life that much. But it was when I was a lot younger. But one thing I think everybody has to remember is that our parents, all of our parents, made the conscious choice to bring us into this world, or at least they should have. Maybe they should have thought about it a little bit more. Before our mothers got pregnant with us. But I mean, once you have a kid, you're obliged to take care of them, to give them at least the basic needs, and to provide for them. That's an obligation of every parent in this world. So don't forget that. But on the other side of the coin, I think we do have to appreciate what our parents did for us. It's easy to blame them for everything. It's easy to say, our parents' generation's all fucked up. They had the wrong values, and there was a lot of that in the '60s, obviously. I mean, parents' generation were sending a lot of their kids to Vietnam, or they wanted to go to Vietnam. And, they had very, very different values than the young generation, the baby boom generation. And that's true of me, too. I'm a late baby boomer. But one thing you have to realize is that you have to at least try to see things eye to eye with your parents and their generation. And, finally, at the end of this horrible confrontation Sidney Poitier has with his dad, after he feels kind of guilty for telling him off, he says, "Dad, you're my father. I'm your son. I love you. But, you see yourself as a colored man, and I see myself as a man." That's kind of how he leaves things with him, which I think is a really excellent scene. And basically, Sidney Poitier is telling his dad, I do love you, I do respect you. We have differences of opinion, but, you did your best. And I think we all have to tell our parents that. And I think if we can all tell our parents at least that, then we don't have to feel guilty when they die. I'm probably going to feel a lot of guilt when my mom passes, and she could pass any minute now. I mean, she's really, really sick. I don't think she has very much longer to go. But I'm probably gonna feel a lot of guilt when she's gone. I'm pretty sure I will. Maybe I'll even be haunted by her spirit for a while. I hope not. But I read The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. So I hope I don't have to witness her telltale heart giving me hell when she's gone. I probably will for a while until I resolve things with her. But I think I'd rather try to resolve them at least while she's alive. So I'm gonna try to do that, Mom, in case you're listening. I'm going to try to work out our differences. I'm going to do my best. Either with you, in person or in my mind. But I gotta get over that. I gotta get over whatever bad feelings I have about my mom. So anyway, that I think that concludes my video on the living years by Mike and the Mechanics. Thank you for watching. You guys rock, and I'll see you next time.